I forgot what I was saying.
I got distracted as well. I was like thinking
Yeah,
laundry.
we were talking
Uh,
about pickups, and
yeah.
I
Uh,
lost my thought.
we were talking about, I mean, we were talking about you being in a different space, and then you like you get more out of a six
Oh,
than
I
you do on
remember what
seven.
I was saying. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Thank you. As time goes on, your tastes evolve, and it's one of the big reasons why, if a band hasn't put out an album in 3 years and then they drop an album and then all their fans are like, why does this sound like weird or I don't like this? It's like, well, you grow and you figure out new things that you like, and that's the product of that.
Mhm.
So that's just natural, and I think it's natural to grow like that. I think it's healthy to grow like that because you don't want to keep putting the same stuff out there. But
Mhm. Yeah.
that's a bigger, more philosophical statement.
Yeah.
Is just like, I don't always want to do the same things. I'll try to
Mhm.
like keep it familiar enough so people don't feel alienated,
Mhm.
but I do like experimenting and growing and as best as I can.
Mm. And then I think that's like a very good mindset to have, because I mean, obviously, no disrespect to any bands out there, but then there are some bands who have been around for a long time and have like huge fan base. But when you really listen to their music, it's pretty much you see them if they release a record today, you can actually kind of see them writing that like maybe 15, 20 years ago. And with Periphery, I noticed that's different. Like, I mean, if you look at all the albums you guys have, you like you said, you still have the core values and essence, in those songs, but then you kind of experience that kind of evolution from album to album as well, and that's kind of cool, because then you catch people by surprise and you'd be like, oh, that's cool. You guys still sound like you guys, but then you with like a twist, and it's not
Yeah,
so
well, I think a lot of that comes from the enthusiasm that we all feel when it comes to like trying to like not outdo ourselves or our previous work because we're proud of all of it. Like but it's just kind of like, if somebody sends out an idea or a demo that's kind of like very different, it excites us because it's like, oh man, like this will be fun. This will be a fun challenge. Or this, oh, I've been listening to this style of music lately. I know exactly how to write for this.
Mhm.
And it's just kind of it's the experimental aspect of it, but it's also the like the enthusiasm that we all feel to kind of just try new things, and that's important to us.
Yeah, that's good. And then like that constant endeavor to break out of the cage or box that you're in often leads to, discoveries that you never imagined before,
Yeah,
which is really cool. Which is cool.
absolutely.
Yeah, well, it's thanks to you, thanks to that mindset that you guys have, we get to enjoy the awesome music you guys write. So keep it
Yeah, it
up.
comes out pretty regularly too. Like if it was just up to me, like I wouldn't be able to keep up the pace. But luckily, we all work really good together, so we're able to like have a constant stream of music.
Oh, that's good. I mean, that's the beauty of teamwork, no? I mean, that you
Yeah,
often
yeah.
you so much
We
get
make
so
a
much
good
more.
team. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, well, so speaking of that, I mean, it's nice. Thanks for sharing about your pickups, and it's good to know that that you develop them in a different time. And I mean, I actually got your seven already. I just haven't got them installed yet. And then so I think I'm still gonna go ahead with swapping out my sevens to put in the Titans, despite the fact that they're different. So I'm
I think
because.
you'll like them. They're different, but I think like especially if you're like trying to play like this style of progressive metal, I think they fit right at home. And I don't know if you're a lead player at all, but I've found that like the split coil sound on these pickups it just sounds phenomenal. So um, definitely try it out at least. If it sucks, you could just put the old ones back in.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I mean, I've got them anyway, so I might as well try them out. And there's no point, like, just selling them or whatever. So yeah, I'm still gonna go ahead. I mean, I've got to wait till I get back to London, though. I'm still stuck in Malaysia now, so
Okay.
but yeah, haven't got much with me here. So
What time is it over there?
it's actually 1:40, like, so I'm like 12 hours ahead of you.
Thanks for staying up late to have a conversation.
No, it's cool actually. I kind of prefer it like that because one of the reasons why I wanted to do it this late my time is because everyone else is asleep. I mean, not just at home, but then I mean, obviously the neighbors as well. Because what I noticed in the past in interviews, there were a lot of lags. I hope I'm not laggy or anything while talking.
No, the connection's been great. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
I understand what you're saying because when everyone's up, the bandwidth shrinks. So.
Exactly. So, and it kind of sucks for for people who are actually watching these interviews. So it's annoying as well. So I would rather just wake up a bit. I mean, sleep a bit later, and then rather have like a smooth connection.
That. I think the video quality is going to be better because of that. So yeah. Good thinking.
Awesome. Okay. Well, so the next question I have for you is, I can't ignore the fact that you are John's nephew. So speaking of him, look, like actually by my bedside, guess what I have here? Like.
Oh, wow. Cool. Yeah.
And like,
yeah, I worked really hard on that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Cool. And like, so it's like, oh. Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah. So back to what I was about to ask you. So you did mention before that you learned a lot, under a short period of time with him compared to other people. So if you had to pick like one piece of advice that completely change your mindset or change the way you play from him, what would it be if you had to pick one?
So when I took lessons from him, it was for a very brief period of time in 1995. Mm-hmm. I don't remember too much about it other than that I really enjoyed it, and it was like I was kind of in awe, but I also didn't like really recognize how lucky I was and like exactly who he was in terms of like, this is one of the best guitar players. I'm sitting across from one of the best guitar players that ever lived. And that was in 1995. He's only gotten better since then, right? But I remember this one thing that always stuck with me, and it's not a big thing, but it's one of the things that kind of like made me strive to be as clean a guitar player as I could be. And I'm not that clean of a guitar player. Like, I have a lot of flaws, but I remember he taught me my very basics, like my first C major scale. He taught that to me. But I was playing it, and I was playing it like, I thought I was playing it like really fast, and like in my mind that was good. Like, oh, I can play this fast. And he's like, yeah, but look what you're doing there. Like, you're kind of like rushing over those first couple of notes, but really nailing the last couple of notes. And he's like, that's like a common thing that like lead players do. So he didn't make me feel weird about it, but he also made me like pay attention to the fact that every note has to ring out evenly. And he explained why and how it works and how playing it slow to a metronome is helpful and all this stuff. So that kind of like set the stage for me in a sense of like how I was going to go forward practicing. And it really took me a long time of like repeating that advice in my head to finally have it click and finally like put it to use. But I that was, God, 30 years ago. 25 years ago. Yeah. That was 25 years ago. So remembering that is like, it's got to count for something. Yeah. So,
and it's cool because it's actually, so despite the fact that was like given to you 25 years ago, it's something that's still relevant today. And I believe a lot of guitarists, including myself, are guilty of that because a lot of emphasis are paid more towards the notes in the middle of the lick and towards the end, because most people just rush through the first few notes because there's like a fill or there's like cymbals and stuff like that people don't really notice. So therefore we as guitarists tend to kind of not pay as much attention.
We all have the same tendency, which is like, we rush things. And I think that's what separates the really good guitar players from just the average guitar player, is an ability to identify that rushing and to work it out of your playing. And I'm able to identify it, but it takes a long time. I still have, to this day, I have sections of leads and solos that I've written. Like, for example, when I was recording the Follow Your Ghost solo, I worked on that with Misha, and he was pointing out the different sections that I was like kind of like rushing or like slopping up. So even though like I'm able to identify it sometimes, it still sometimes is completely lost on me, and I need other people to kind of like point it out, and then I can change it, So it still happens. I think it's a lifetime pursuit to kind of work that out of your playing, unless you're just kind of gifted enough to where you can on your own.
That's kind of true. And yeah, it does help to have like a separate set of ears to kind of pick up on those things, because we're kind of used to hearing the way we play, and therefore sometimes we don't pick up on those things, even though it's fairly obvious. Once someone else points it out, you're like, oh shit, I never knew that was happening. And yeah, I think it's
it's so important to have a second opinion and have people you trust, musicians you trust, critiquing your playing, and in a healthy and productive way, like not in like an unsolicited way or a rude way, because like nobody's gonna be receptive to it then, but if you have friends or people that you trust that are kind of like identifying weaknesses and stuff that you're playing, I think that's enormously helpful.
Yeah, exactly. And we always want like constructive criticism and not someone just crashing for fun.
Yeah that's what I never really understood about like people online and like people like commenting on bands they don't like. It's just like, all right, so you don't like it, what do you want them to change? And then they're just like, they don't have an answer. They just wanted to be like, they just wanted to be ugly on the internet.
Keyboard warriors, as they say.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh well, can't focus too much on those people. Just focus on the positives, I guess.
Yeah, you gotta try.
Okay, yeah. Well, so it's that's very useful advice that you've passed on from your uncle to everyone else around the world. So is there any advice that you would personally, something that you've always had in mind personally when you play, when you record, or when you write? Is there something that you think that everyone should know?
Yeah. So I think if being a musician is something that you aspire to be, learn how to record yourself. Get a home studio, invest in a home studio, even if it's like an inexpensive one with small monitors and an audio interface and a reliable computer. Like anything to record yourself will make you a better player. You'll figure, because you have the urge to record, you will start recording yourself, and then you'll start like trying to piece together ideas that are going to require you to get better to do it. And it kind of forces you to get better and forces you to kind of shape your ideas using discipline. So always, like, if you want to be a musician, learn to record yourself at home. So that way you don't have to rely on a friend who has a studio or paying for studio time, or there are a lot of places in the world that just don't have studios. So learning, and I feel like the consumer electronic home recording studio, it has gotten pretty affordable these days. So that'd be the first thing. The other thing doesn't really have to do with music at all, but it's the one thing that kind of like changed my life when I figured out how to do it. It's to just never be late, to always just be like 100% on time, like, or early, because that way you're not like going into situations, like if you're late for something, not only are you going into your situation late, but which is just not a great idea in the first place, but you're also going into it in a mental state where you haven't had time to calm down. You're kind of like running on adrenaline. And I think that a lot of people run on adrenaline, and it causes their life to suffer because they're not able to compose themselves in the moments that they need to be composed. And for me, that was kind of a game changer. So, you know, just learn how to be on time, learn how to leave early, you know, everything, you know, kind of falls into place after that because you're thinking about what you need to do and you're thinking about how much time it takes to get there, and you're calm and composed. And if you ever watch somebody doing something and you always comment like, oh wow, they make it look so easy, it's because they're calm and composed. And I think like doing everything you can to remain calm and composed and to reduce that anxiety is going to make you a better player and a better person. So
definitely. I think that applies to, like you said, applies to everything else in life, not just music. And that's a very useful piece of advice. And thank you so much for that. Okay, well, thank you for your advice. And I'm sure a lot of people will find your words very encouraging and very inspiring. And I really hope that. Yeah, I certainly hope so as well, because I think you, despite, you know, you managed to give out so many wise and helpful words in such a short period of time, and I think this is one episode that a lot of people will really enjoy watching, and I really hope that people who are demotivated will watch this, and hopefully, you know, they start to see the light at the end of that dark tunnel that they're you know, kind of
we all lose momentum or motivation somewhere, and it's important to keep it in your mind that it'll come back, you know, and you don't get discouraged.
Yeah, that's a very good piece of advice. Well, thank you so much, Jake, for your time, and I really appreciate it. You know, obviously, you know, it's an honor to talk to you. You're like one of my guitar heroes. So
thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I look forward to moshing at one of your shows again. Hopefully things go back to normal soon.
I can't wait to start touring again. Can't wait to play London. Can't wait to. Where are you in Malaysia?
Well, I'm up north, like just below Thailand. I'm in Penang. So Kuala Lumpur is kind of like central. I'm like up north in Penang. So
my geography isn't that good, but I know where that is.
Awesome. Yeah. So, all right. I hope to see you in London soon then.
All right, man. I'll see you next time.
See you next time. Till then, take care. Stay safe.
All right. You too. Yeah. Stay safe.
All right. Bye.